Good evening, everyone. My name is Ricardo Valencia. Can you all hear me okay out there? My name is Ricardo Valencia, and I will be chairing our school board meeting this evening. I wanted to also share that I'll be in honor of the 8th grade ceremonies, transitions, graduations. I will be wearing a graduation sash representing our 8th graders. A wonderful tradition that I became a part of when I graduated from the university at UC Berkeley is this Sarape style sash. And all of you young people that are 8th graders that are going to be having your ceremony are welcome to wear items that honor your culture, honor your family, honor your community, honor your ancestry. So it brings me great pride to represent the graduation stole for you all this evening. The time is now 1:06. The Board of Education meeting will now reconvene in open session. Roll call.
Mr. Lara,
Here.
Ms. Cabral,
Here.
Mrs. Cordero, Mr. Valencia,
Present.
and Mr. Hollinshead is absent this evening.
Item A, report from closed session. Dr. McDuffie, do we have a report out from closed session?
Yes, we do. The board accepted the administrative appointment of John Calandro, junior high principal, Tommy Kuntz Junior High School. The roll call was unanimous.
Thank you very much. The closed session topics of discussion were A, public employee employment discipline, dismissal, release, resignation. B, conference with labor negotiators, CSEA. C, conference with labor negotiators, SMEA. D, public employee performance evaluation goals and objectives. And I do have a report out based on that item. So item D, public employee performance evaluation goals and objectives. In closed session, the board voted 4-0 with board president Hollinshead out or absent to give Superintendent Darren McDuffie a positive evaluation with thanks for his service to the district. Item B, introduction of interpreters. Tonight's interpreters are Cesar Ruiz and Benito Flores. Just a reminder to all speakers and presenters, please be mindful when speaking at the podium, not to speak too quickly so that our interpreters are able to increase accuracy and keep pace for our Spanish and Mixtec speaking audience. Greeting and support was provided today by Aida Hernandez and Manuel Rios Victoria. Item C, Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ms. Cordero, would you mind leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item D, Student Leader Advisory Team. Tonight's inspiration will be presented by the Student Leader Advisory Team.
Good evening, board, community members, and students. We are so excited to be here tonight to end our year with our Student Leader Advisory Team. You've been hearing from them all year long. Every board meeting, we have them coming up and speaking and practicing their public speaking skills. So for tonight, we're just going to give you a little bit of an overview of what their work has been this year. And then we're going to show you a little bit of what they've done in pictures. So who is on our Student Leader Advisory Team? We have one 6th grader from every elementary school, 2 8th graders from every junior high. Jimenez, we have 1 6th and 1 8th. And Battle School, since it's twins, we have 2, right? And we're so happy we have both of them. And then our team, of course, that's in support of them. The purpose of the team really has morphed as the year has gone on. We brought them on to really be a voice for the whole district. How many students do you guys speak for? 17,000. They know exactly. So whenever they were giving us feedback, they always knew they were speaking for the whole district because that's what we're here for as students. And so those last two areas for purpose were really important for us, that this is a group that is giving us feedback on the work that we do. We started with talking about the district in general, like what is the district? And that was our very first meeting. Feels like a long time ago, huh? And we talked about these are all the people that are in support of school sites. And all of those people and all of the school sites are in support of students, because the most important thing in our district are our students. And everyone here is for your best interest. So we spent a lot of time talking about our roles. Then they've had lots of learning and experiences. These are only some of them. One of the first things we did was interviewing district staff. Here's an example of some of the different staff that they interviewed. Not only did they interview staff, they did provide feedback for those departments. They have given feedback for food services. They've given feedback for LCAP, where they had money to spend and they had to figure out what their priorities were. They have all done a kindness campaign at their school sites. Of course, they've presented at board meetings to practice that public speaking, and they've had guest speakers from our community. And it's just been a really great year of learning. They also have made friends with each other, which has probably been one of the sweetest things that we've seen. That wasn't even one of the original purposes, but it's been lovely. So lots of great learning. And it ended on Friday with our culminating activity, which was our Student Leader Advisory Exhibition, which was a great day. They were on the bottom floor and the top floor of the Sousa Center. Thank you, Board Member Cordero, for coming. Our mayor came, gave lots of these guys her business card. They were super excited. Everyone from Sousa came out, and the kids had their project boards up, and they were able to explain their learning from the whole year. They were introducing themselves and shaking hands and speaking so articulately, and just were absolutely amazing. Every single one of them. We're so proud of you. And everyone couldn't believe how amazing you are. But we have some pictures from that in case you weren't able to attend. So we want to share with you the year in review. Do not act like you don't love your own pictures. This is the same group that's like, can you print that for me? Can you print that for me? So we have a year in review of pictures, and then we also interviewed our 8th graders so that you can hear in their words what their learning was. There should be music already, Brian.
So they're gonna have great learning today. So this is our superintendent, Dr. McDuffie. We're just excited to have him here. What do you think? Nice job. Details. Did you catch that? Details. Nice job. Skill I developed in this program was how to advocate for myself and project my voice better, speaking for people I'm not so comfortable with. I'll take that to high school by advocating for others.
My favorite moment in this program was visiting the Museum of Politics.
Favorite memories are of when we learned about the food and how it's made from other schools, but also the leadership lesson we had that day. One leadership skill I have developed in this program has been motivating others, and I plan to take this leadership skill into the future by being part of the Patent Development Campus Cheer Squad and being able to motivate others in sports, school, and mostly the future. My favorite part of the program was probably the community building on the first day when we got to meet the Rigetti High School ASB, and they did a bunch of stuff with us to they're trusting each other, building confidence with one another. The moment that impacted me the most was when Dr. McDuffie gave us the Martin Luther King speech about the drum major instinct sermon. The drum major instinct, it shows that we have an instinct to be first, to want to be the best and lead. But sometimes that can turn into being bossy and trying to control others. So we have to learn how to control it and make sure that we use it in a good way and not in a bad way. It just made a really big impact on myself. The leadership skill I developed is public speaking. I really had a hard time with public speaking at school, and I would often stutter or just be on nervous. But with the help of this program, I learned how to become a better public speaker with thinking on what to do and how to do it. And at the board meeting, I really conquered my fear of public speaking because I spoke in front of a ton of people, and I just felt really good about it. Someone in the program was made me laugh a lot is Miss Dutra. Miss Melissa Dutra always has a smile on her face, and she comes up with the funniest things to say. I really appreciate Miss Dutra because she's always there to help us, and she cares deeply about her students. If you come to this program, you'll find that you'll have these new traits that you grow over the course. You'll see that you have the voice now, that you're confident. And most importantly, you're having fun, because that's what it's all about.
We also want to let parents know that we will be emailing the link to that video to the students so that you guys have it and you can watch it at holidays and during dinner, and you'll have that forever. We also want to thank our school sites for transporting the students back and forth once a month, and to families who also transported their students back and forth. We didn't let that stop us from having this great program. So thank you for that. And then, oh, not much. We're done with that. And then just a huge thank you to Veronica Diaz, who wasn't able to be here tonight. She did the video, but she's a huge part of our group. Miss Veronica, Miss Ashley, and Miss Claudia. And I was like, and Miss Cicella, if you guys can give them a big hand. This is the group. They make everything happen. And just on a personal note, you have made this year just the best year ever, and you make it really hard to leave. And I can't tell you how much I adore each and every one of you. And I'm so super proud of you. You should be really proud of yourselves. Okay, te amo. Okay. It wouldn't be leadership without presence, right? So we're going to call you up one at a time. Come up and get it. And then we're going to line up, and then we'll take a picture with our board when we're all done. Okay.
All right, first off is Liliana. Come on up, Liliana. Next, we have Dominic. Come on up, Dominic. Next up is Lucia. Alondra. Brian. Ishmael. Bricia. Fatima. Natalie. Nayeli. Tiana. Isabella. Andres. Evoleth. Brisa. Juliet. Miranda. Javier. Jasmine. Ivy. Ray. Emma. And last but not least, Olivia. I'm gonna turn around. Over there. Hold your class, kind of like here.
Before we leave, Ms. Dutra, we have something for you. We want to thank you for everything you've done for our leaders and wish you a happy transition. And we hope you come visit us when the heat of the Central Valley gets to you.
And Mr. Blanch, you have the comments.
I love it. Thank you. Oh, I love it. Thank you.
I'd like to invite all of you students to please stay prior to departing, because we do have some comments from the board prior to you all, so please stick around if you're able to. Thank you. Ms. Cordero.
Yes, thank you. I had the opportunity, as was mentioned before the video, to actually come Friday to see their presentation boards. And while I regret that I did not quite make it to every single board because I either asked too many questions or engaged you in conversation that took too long, but I was so extremely impressed with how you were able to present yourself. You introduced yourself, reviewed what you had done during the year, talked about the ways that you had grown, the skills that you have developed, and how you are going to continue to grow and develop those skills as you move forward in your education. It is those kinds of experiences for any educator, and I am an educator through and through, but those are the kinds of things that allow us to continue to have hope for our future, because you are our future. And the skills that you are beginning to develop and have had the opportunity to work on, and the experiences that you've had, you will remember this always. And you think back in 50 years and think about, what you did in school, something will happen with one of your children or a grandchild, and you'll say, oh, I remember when I was, you know, and tell your story. This is impactful. And I just am bursting with pride in our students from Santa Maria Bonita School District. So thank you for showing up, for doing the work, for really being thoughtful, and for making the commitment to take what you have learned with you. And for your families, they may get tired of looking at that video for every celebration and when anybody comes over, but be proud. It's okay to be proud. Continue to take pride in who you are and what you do, because it does make a difference. So thank you from the bottom of my heart.
I would also just like to express my appreciation to the students. I mentioned earlier today that in honor of our 8th grade transition student ceremony, students, I'm wearing the sash, and it also, I think pride is such a wonderful word to use, Ms. Cordero, because that's exactly what I feel when I see you all as well. One thing that I did not mention about the sash that I think makes it really special is the idea of wearing the sash is that you continue your education. So all of you that are graduating that are 8th graders, you know, should you choose to wear a sash that represents, you know, your individual accomplishment, that represents the sacrifices of your family, that represents the upliftment of our community, and that represents pride in our ancestry, where we come from. But the big idea behind it, besides just pride in who we are, is you all making a commitment to continuing your education. So the sash that I'm wearing, I was able to wear as an undergraduate, and then I was able to wear when I got my master's degree. So the hope is that you all, you know, continue that trajectory, right? And so that you never stop learning. So I want to thank you all also. And I think what I would also love to hear from the students for the next batch that comes our way, because my hope is that this work will continue, is that our young people can tell us not only all the wonderful things that you all are experiencing every day, but also what can we do as a community to help improve your education, right? What should we continue doing? What should we stop doing, right? And what should we start doing? I think it's a great, 3 great questions to ask. So thank you, young people. So proud of you. And I believe Dr. McDuffie also has something to share.
Yes, thank you. How's everybody doing? You guys doing all right? Good, good. It has been a pleasure to work with all of you. I'm gonna keep my comments short, but I've talked to each of you, and this year I think, and I believe you've discovered a little bit more about who you are and what you can do and what you're made of. And I'm so very proud of that and proud of you. Make sure, you know, I told you, or may have told some of you, when I gave that speech, that sermon of Martin Luther King, I did that when I was 13 years old. And I said to myself that I would continue to do it as long as I had the opportunity to do that, to make an impact. And there are things, talents and gifts and abilities that you will continue to learn and you'll continue to grow, that you'll be able to give back and pay it forward. The kindness campaigns that you were all involved with are important things for our community and for you to continue to grow as human beings. And I'm just very proud of what you've done and what you can take from this experience to continue to build and grow on. It's apparent that you've grown closer together, and I want to thank Ms. Dutra for really taking this project on and just developing into something where you did have a voice in a lot of the things that we were involved with here in Santa Maria Bonita School District. I want to thank the panel of voices here that were involved in our strategic planning and gave input on what they wanted to see more of in our school district. And so that type of voice will continue to happen here in Santa Maria Bonita School District. So I want to thank you for those eighth graders on your way into high school. I know you'll do great things. Thank you.
Item E, recognitions, Ames Leaders of the Year, presented by Mr. Mark Palmerston.
Push that one. It's red. Okay. Good evening. Thank you, Dr. McDuffie and board, for allowing us the opportunity to come and transition from our student leaders to our leadership awards. Mark Palmerston, principal at Fessler Junior High, and tonight representing Ames as our president. With me, I have our vice president, Jillian Bailey, principal at Bruce Elementary. For those of you not familiar with Ames, Ames is our administrators and management team representing all of our certificated managers, our classified, unrepresented classified supervisors, and our confidential employees. And this evening, we appreciate the opportunity to recognize our leaders of the year. And so to begin, we have 4 awards. One's new this year that we'll talk about. And our Ames members nominated Jennifer Loftus, Director of Teaching and Learning, and Dr. Brian Zimmerman, Director of Student and Family Services, for our District Leader of the Year. And so we'd like, oh yeah, thank you. And we'd like the opportunity to congratulate Jennifer Loftus as our District Leader of the Year. Congrats. Our awards are a timeless symbol of education and the bell. And so if you'll join us, we'll bring everybody up together.
I do. I just want to say thank you, and I'm certainly very honored. I also feel very blessed. I have a wonderful team, and it's that team that really helps me support everyone else. And for that, I'm very grateful. And thank you.
If the people in the back want to come up and fill up the front. Oh, no. If the people sitting in the back can come up and fill up the front.
They're like the cool students in the back of the room. But we should model for our young people, right? What we expect of them. You're invited, not required. Thank you, Ms. Cabral.
For our site leaders of the year, we have Trinity Hamilton, principal of Alvin Elementary School, and Dr. Eusebio Martinez, principal at Oakley Elementary School. And this year, Trinity Hamilton, principal at Alvin Elementary School, was our Ames Leader of the Year.
You want to say anything? Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. I just want to say thank you so much to my colleagues. It's a huge honor and I really appreciate it. And all of the hard work working side by side with such wonderful, beautiful humans. So thank you. Thank you.
And we also have our co-administrators, and that is our assistant principals, our deans, our program specialists. And so we have Rachel Aziz, program specialist
And
for
can you
student.
please slow it down a bit for our interpreters?
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
Do you need her closer or slower? No, just slower.
Okay, sorry about that. Rachel Aziz, program specialist, student and family services.
Shelley Hart, Program Specialist Teacher Development, and Melanie Heidinger, Assistant Principal at Bruce Elementary. And this year's Co-Admin of the Year is Shelley Hart, Program Specialist Teacher Development.
Thank you very much. I just want to say education is a team sport, and I have a great team that makes me look good on a regular basis. So thank you for all my peers for nominating and voting for me, and I really appreciate it. This is fun.
My understanding is you've also received a Crystal Apple Award from at the county level too, as a special recognition as well. So this year, one of our goals with AIMS was to better include and recognize our classified members, those that are classified supervisors and confidential employees. And one of the ways we wanted to recognize that is to specifically call out a category for classified leaders of the year. And so our nominees in this category, Javier Cavazos Jr., Coordinator of Maintenance and Operations, Brian King, Coordinator of Budget and Finance, James Michaelis, Supervisor, Construction School Facilities, and Louis Turk, Supervisor, Information Technology. And our classified leader of the year, Louis Turk, Supervisor, Information Technology.
Thank you. While there are many classified managers doing amazing work across the district, I truly appreciate being recognized. Shout out to Team IT. They're an amazing team. And thank you again to my colleagues for their support. Thank you.
So if we could just invite our awardees up for one picture today, that would be great. And thank you for the board for the time and recognition of leadership throughout our district.
Yeah, right here. Where's Waldo?
Okay, that's it. We've done all the fun stuff.
No.
Item A, public comment period, open session. Oh, pardon me. Number 2, pardon me, staff recognition, CSEA, nurses, SMEA, school pathologists, Dr. McDuffie.
Thank you, Board Member Valencia. You know, this week and this whole month of May have been, a lot of celebrations and a lot of appreciation for staff going on in Santa Maria Bonita School District. And I've been to each and every school myself, including maintenance and operations and the Sousa Center, thanking our staff for their years of service as well. Service pins for 5, 10, 15, 20. You get in 25, 30, 35, 40, 45 years, I think I gave a pin out at one of the school sites. And it helps me to realize the importance of the people in this organization. It is the most fun I've had this year. It really has been a lot of fun to do that. I've shown appreciation to teachers, custodians, office staff, maintenance technicians, instructional aides, librarians, TOSAs, administrators, everyone. I've said it a few times and I'll continue to say it, that every single person in our organization is essential to our students. And so, yeah. So with that, we have some speakers coming up, but before that, we put together a short video of appreciation. So before we start that, do you have it all queued up? Here we go.
I believe it's now time to call Melissa Gutierrez, President of CSEA.
Hello. Thank you so much for the recognition. My name is Melissa, President of CSCA, and I have invited classified staff to join us here because they are the ones who do the work. They're the ones that keep everything going. And especially I invited our site reps to come because they're the ones that distribute our information, that take it from the board and the district to our sites to make sure everybody stays informed. So I just wanted everybody who's classified to please stand up. They also brought some of their family. And I just want to thank all of you so much because I couldn't do my job without you. And I just want you to know all of the work that you do is truly appreciated. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Next up, we have Carolyn Kleinsmith, which is a representative for our nurses.
Short. Our nurses are exceptional professionals and they always put children first. I do want to say that our health services team has had to face some incredible challenges the last few years with COVID and all of the different things that have been happening with staffing. And we've really had to think outside of the box and look for innovative ways to deliver quality healthcare services. And one of the ways that we did that was to create a tiered system of healthcare delivery. Our tier 1 is the unlicensed health assistants at each school site. Our tier 2 are LVNs and our tier 3 and LPTs. And our tier 3 are the BSN, MSN credentialed school nurses. I'd like to welcome our tier 2 and tier 3 staff members that are here today to come up and join me. Crystal, Marie, Peter. I'd like to first introduce Crystal. This is Crystal here. She is one of our school nurses, and so she is representing the school nursing team. She's joined by Megan Amon and Bianca Garcia, who are not here tonight, as well as 2 new district school nurses, Lisa Magenzag and Sarah Magny. None of these nurses had school health experience prior to joining our team. The learning curve is tremendous, and it has not been easy, but each of them has really grown in their practice capacity. And I appreciate their professionalism, skill, and commitment. I would also like to recognize 2 of our veteran nurses who are not here tonight, Kelly Haynes and Heather Clinton. Kelly and Heather both have been in the district for almost 20 years with Heather, and I think about 23 years for Kelly. So they've been here with the district and been committed to the district for a long time. I'm very grateful for their dedication to our students. They have taken on incredibly difficult assignments these last 2 years and have provided quality healthcare services to the students and staff at the schools they serve. They also have been great leaders and mentors to our new school nurses. I'd like to next introduce Marie. She is one of our LVNs and part of our LVN team. One of the things that we did was add an LVN pool, which are LVNs that are assigned to each of the clusters. And they are absolutely key to our ability to do the work that we do. They attend to the daily acute care needs of students. These nurses are essential in performing specialized healthcare procedures and complex medication administration. They also support our school nurses in health data collection. Along with Marie, our LVN team members are Kennedy Sell, Leticia Nava, Mario Guzman, and Jennifer Lopez. Each of them demonstrates exceptional skill and compassion in assisting our students on a daily basis. I would next like to introduce Peter Curto. And Peter is a licensed psychiatric technician. Again, another innovative approach was bringing on an LPT. What Peter has done has been extremely instrumental in helping us to support our students in crisis. He is able to perform risk assessments, mental health intakes, and support schools in safety and mental health interventions. He also responds to all of the security alerts when we're on Christmas break, Thanksgiving break, and over the summer. He has been a wonderful addition to our team, and his involvement with our high-risk students has definitely improved their outcomes. Together, the school nurses and LVNs have worked to meet both the acute care needs of our students and provide valuable healthcare services for IEPs, 504s, health education, individualized healthcare plans, crisis response and crisis intervention, health screenings, after-school programs, Saturday school, field trips, sporting events, and mitigation for COVID and other communicable diseases and any other health issue that arises. And I'd also like to take a moment to recognize another important health team member. If Jennifer Ellsworth would please stand up. Jennifer is not a nurse, but she is clearly the heart of our health services team. We all can count on her in many ways. She cares deeply about students, health staff, and deeply about the school site staffs. She can always be counted on to offer support, and we would truly be lost without her. So thank you for this opportunity to share a little bit about our amazing nursing team, and please join me in recognizing them and thanking them for all that they do for our students and the staff at Santa Maria Bonita School District. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Next up, we have Jose Segura, President of SMEA.
Good evening, Board. Dr. McDuffie, Cabinet, Jose Segura, President of SMEA. Dr. McDuffie, when you asked me to show up and say a few words, I didn't realize I had to bring a team of people with me and there was going to be a presentation. I just thought it would be like, thank you, and I would sit down. But I really wanted, what I want to say is, so I represent all the certificated educators of the Santa Maria Bonita School District, as well as all the certificated educational support folks. Altogether, we're about 972 certificated folks that are members of my association. So I'm super proud of the diversity within our association and the breadth and depth of our membership. In fact, nurses are part of our local association as well. And so I really want to kind of just shout out to all of my members across our district, whether you're in the classroom, your classroom is an outside space, an inside space, you're a counselor, you're an APE, you're a psychologist, you're a behavior specialist, and on and on and on. Just thank you so much for the work you do every single day to support the students of the Santa Maria Valley, the students of the Santa Maria Bonita School District. Just from the bottom of my heart, I just can't say enough about you all. Many of you know that we had our annual member recognition event last Thursday. You know, we brought about 400 plus of our closest friends together, and we had a really nice time. It's always a great event. And one of the things that we do at that event is we recognize outstanding members, outstanding educators, outstanding just contributors to public education who are our members at every school site plus district-wide. So I really want to read to you the list of our folks who were recognized this year by site. And I'm just going to go in alphabetical order because that's the easiest way to do things. At Adams School, we had Cami Waller. At Alvin Elementary, Jessica Moreno. Arianis Elementary, Amy McIntosh. Arianis Junior High, Asher Kleinsmith. At Battles Elementary, Lisa Bigger. Bonita Elementary, Norma Castellino. At Bruce Elementary, Stacy Hall. El Camino Junior High School, Michael Pope. Fairlawn Elementary, Michael Clare. Fessler Junior High School, Brandy Dana. Jimenez Elementary, Shelley Reiki. At Kuntz Junior High School, Mimi Pepin. Libin Elementary, Crystal O'Brien. Miller Elementary, Brandy Ferguson. Oakley Elementary, Carol Gerace. Ontiveros Elementary, Kelly Damasaris. At Rice Elementary, Denise Stevens. At Souza Center here, Joel Hartwell, which I believe is right there. Taylor Elementary, Sabrina Jeffers. And at Tunnel Elementary, Madeline Robertson. And this year's district member of the year was Maria Giordano from El Camino Junior High School. And so I really want to congratulate all of my members for outstanding work, just having a great year. Thank you so much, Board and Dr. McDuffie and Cabinet, for recognizing the certificated staff. And we look forward to just great things the remainder of this year. And hopefully everybody has a really awesome summer. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up, we have Heather Allen, who is a representative for SLPs. And would you mind defining that acronym for us, please?
SLP, Speech Language Pathologist.
Thank you.
Good evening, Dr. McDuffie, President Valencia, Board and Cabinet. May 18th is National Speech Pathologist Day, and May is Better Speech and Hearing Month. Both provide an opportunity to raise awareness about communication disorders and to recognize our team of speech pathologists, or SLPs, at Santa Maria Bonita. One of my favorite descriptions of a school-based SLP is a person who makes the universal human right of effective communication accessible for their students while also supporting their families and school staff in the process. Tonight, we have a few SLPs with us tonight, and we have a team of 25 total SLPs in our district. Michelle Gunn, can you stand up? Joel Hartwell. Cherie Hovey. Anita Perales. And Laurel Mason. One more snuck in. Shelley Ricky. Thank you.
And colleagues, prior to the beginning of public comment, I'd like to entertain a 5-minute recess. So the board will now take a 5-minute recess and we'll begin in and continue in 5 minutes. will now continue. Item A, public comment period, open session. Public comments are intended for members of the public to address the Board of Education on items involving the school district. Such testimony shall be limited to 3 minutes each per person and subject, and 15 minutes total for each topic. If an answer to a specific question is requested, the board president will, if appropriate, direct administration to respond in writing. Do we have any public comments this evening, Dr. McDuffie?
Yes, we do. We have John Raymond on a phone call.
Good evening. Good evening. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes. Hi. My name is John Raymond. I want to thank the board for the opportunity to be able to make public comments over Zoom now. It's been a while since I've been able to talk. I wanted to make a couple of short comments. First of all, I'd like to congratulate the new board member, Cabral. Is that how you say it? Cabral? As the new board member, I know you've been on for a few months. I've been listening to these board meetings and hadn't had a chance to communicate with you. And I would also enjoy the presentations of the students and the staff for the last hour and 10 minutes on the phone. And I would also like to thank Melissa Dutra for all her support the last 3 years to the district. I know she's leaving and going back to Fresno, where I'm from, that area. And I'd also like to thank Deputy Superintendent Beecher, because he's got a hell of a payroll now, and keeping the money flowing so that people can enjoy their benefits and be able to work and support the students of Santa Maria and educating them for the go on to college or trade school or whatever they do in life. And I hope that you continue this now, that we can call in from the public, because I'm living in Florida now, but I've not left Santa Maria. I still got property there. I pay taxes, and I have things I'd like to talk about in the future. And I just wanted to thank you for the opportunity to speak at this moment. And by the way, Mr. Valencia, I'm still waiting for my phone call. It's been 1.5 years, and I've given my number out to you in public about 1.5 years ago, and I would love to talk to you about some stuff in private, and I'd appreciate it. You guys, thank you for your time, and have a great evening.
Do we have another call? That's all we have.
Thank you very much. Item 9, approval of agenda as presented.
Yes, Board Member Valencia, I'd like to pull item 11C.
May I have a motion to accept the agenda as amended?
I'll move to approve the agenda as modified or amended.
I'll second.
It is moved by Ms. Cordero and seconded by Mr. Lara to accept the agenda as amended. Roll call.
Mr. Lara,
Aye.
Ms. Cabral,
Aye.
Mrs. Cordero,
Aye.
Mr. Valencia.
Aye. Item 10, consent items. Actions proposed for the consent agenda are consistent with adopted policies and approved practices of the district and are deemed routine in nature. They will be acted upon by roll call vote in one motion without discussion unless a member of the board requests an item be pulled from the consent agenda for further discussion. Items pulled from the consent agenda will be voted on separately. I would like to pull agenda item 10D4. The second reading and approval of job description program specialist, dual language immersion, DLI. And may I have a motion to approve the consent items as amended?
I'll move to approve the consent agenda as amended.
I'll second.
It is moved by Ms. Cordero, seconded by Ms. Cabral to approve the consent item as amended. Roll call.
Mr. Lara,
Aye.
Ms. Cabral,
Aye.
Mrs. Cordero,
Aye.
Mr. Valencia.
Aye. Item 11, action items. A, public hearing, the Education Protection Account, EPA. It's up to the board.
Usually we do it at the end. That's.
Yeah, so we'll be doing the item 10D4 toward the end of the board meeting.
Our practice has been to do it at the end of the meeting.
That's fine. We continue that. Excellent. So continuing on back to item 11, action items. A, public hearing, the Education Protection Account, EPA 2023-2024. We will open the public hearing for the Education Protection Account, EPA 2023-2024 at 7:09 PM. Dr. McDuffie, do we have any public comments?
No, we do not.
With no further comments or with no public comments reported, I call the public hearing closed at this time. Time being 7:09 PM. Item B, well, pardon me for 1 second. So item B, resolution 2022-18, the Education Protection Account, EPA 2023-2024. Are there any questions, or I believe there's a Dr. W presentation, correct?
Yes, very short.
Excellent.
Well, good evening, board.
Good
evening.
So I'm here to talk about the Education Protection Account. This is an annual item. It's an annual housekeeping item. So Prop 30 approved by voters back in November of 2012 temporarily increased the state sales tax rate for all taxpayers and the personal income tax rate for upper income taxpayers. A provision of Prop 30 created in the State General Fund an Education Protection Account, EPA, to receive and distribute the revenues from this incremental increases in the taxes. So since 2016, the increase in the sales tax has gone away, but as a result of Prop 55 in 2016, the personal income tax increase on income over $250,000 is extended to the year 2030. So districts receive funds from the EPA based on their proportionate share of the statewide revenue, and then a corresponding reduction is made to the district's LCFF revenue equal to the amount of their EPA entitlement. So these are not new dollars. It just helps to avoid cuts to our funding. These EPA funds simply reduce the amount of other state funding the school receives. So if this is your LCFF, EPA is part of your LCFF. It's not in addition to on top, it's just part of your LCFF funding. And so as required, the EPA estimated deposits and expenditures for 23-24 is $47,714,341. And all the expenditures are for instructional services and must not be spent on administrative costs. And so this is what we have in budget. So in order to be able to collect the funds for EPA, the district must have a public hearing and a resolution.
Board members, are there any questions or comments at this time? Seeing none, may I have a motion to approve resolution 2218, the Education Account, EPA 2023-2024.
I'll move that the Board of Education adopt resolution 22-18, the Education Protection Account 2023-24 as presented.
I second.
It is moved by Ms. Cordero and seconded by Ms. Cabral to adopt resolution 2218, the Education Protection Account, EPA 2022-2023 as presented. Roll call.
Mr. Lara,
Aye.
Ms. Cabral,
Aye.
Mrs. Cordero,
Aye.
Mr. Valencia.
Aye. Item 12, discussion items. A, 2023-2024 budget study session. Dr. McDuffie.
Matthew Beecher, is this item for?
Yes, I'll go ahead and take this.
Mr. King, go ahead and
Oh,
move
all
forward.
right, sounds good.
Just
Well, good.
keep passing the ball.
Well, good evening again. So I'm here to talk about this evening a brief presentation for our adoption budget for 23-24. I'll be back June 7th with a lot more detail and information, but I want to just cover a few things this evening for our adoption budget. So the LCFF and the budget process. So the LCFF consists of a base grant, grade span adjustment, supplemental concentration grant dollars, transportation add-on, and the transitional kindergarten add-on, which was new this last year. So when we're preparing the budget, we prepare it kind of the same way in the same process as in previous years. And the governor's 23-24 budget, what he's focusing on is maintaining programs, and he does not take into account a possible recession. And so the May revise has been released. And so we got, when we create the budget, we have to go off the May revision for our adopted budget. So looking at our COLA and enrollment for 23-24, for K-8 enrollment, we're going to mirror what 22-23 enrollment is. But our TK enrollment is increasing by 768. So we're going from 487 to 1,255 students. Our COLA, May revision came out. Our COLA for the year is, next year is 8.22%, and then 3.94 and 3.29 in the 2 out years. Some of the assumptions we use for our multi-year revenue, we're going to use our projected TK through 8 enrollment. So I'll be using the latest information I received from the district's student housing technician. He projects the enrollment. So I take that enrollment, and then I go ahead and use my calculations to figure what our ADA will be. So for our federal programs, the COLA is not known yet, and we do have a PERS rate increase this coming year. The PERS is going to increase by 1.31%. CalSTRS, there's no increase. So that increase represents an increase cost of $263,000. So this $263,000 cost increase is to the district is to continue to employ our current employees. And
Sorry. It says 563.
563, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, 560,000.
Okay.
No, not sure what I said.
263.
263. Okay, yeah. 263 would be better, but yeah, it's 563. I wanted to look back a year. So last year at this time, we had increase of PERS and STRS, both percentages, they went up over 2%. So last year at this time, we had a $3 million increase at the time. So our PERS are continually going to be going up. Our STRS has kind of leveled out now for at least a year or two. Enrollment and ADA assumptions. So our funding is based off our current year ADA, our prior year ADA, or the 3-year average of our ADA. And so down below I have the enrollment in ADA. So for 23-24 enrollment of 17,495. And then for 24-25, it dips a little. And then the second out year, it spikes up again. I put 22-23 on there because I wanted to highlight a few things. So the enrollment going from 22-23 to 23-24, that's an increase of 799 students. But when you look at that ADA increase, it's only about a 201 ADA. So when you do the percentages, that's only about a 25% ADA to enrollment percentage. So it looks skewed, but the reason for that is our universal transitional kindergarten implementation. So the state gave 4 years to implement the program, and we're in year 2. And as each year goes along, it goes off 4-year-olds and the month they turn 5. So that there's certain months when they turn 5, then the district is able to claim ADA for those students. But what we're doing is we're just opening it up to all 4-year-olds. And so we're going to have some students for the year that we're not going to be able to claim ADA on because of when they turn 5. So 2 years from now in 25-26, we'll be able to claim all the ADA for those students, but the state has kind of rolled it out over 4 years. So that's why that ADA percentage didn't increase as much as it should. So planning for staffing, for general education staffing outside of the LCAP, elementary, additional 33 FTE, and junior high 5. Those 33 elementary FTE, 31 of these positions are for TK. Also special education staffing, additional speech, resource teachers, psychologists, mental health, and BCBA. Moving on, looking at our salaries and benefits. We for our step and column, for certificated, we use 2.66%, and then for classified, we use 1%. Our benefits cap is at 13,700. The statutory rates we get are updated by the county office. And so our total statutory rates for 23-24 is at 21.569 for certificated and 35.349 for classified. So what's next? I'll be back on June 7th with more information about our adoption budget. And then on June 24th is when we actually adopt it. June 7th is the public hearing. So with that, I can answer any questions.
I guess my only big question is, in view of the fact that we really are not going to know any real dollar amounts until the state budget, well, all of the income taxes are collected in November. Are the deficit right now for the state is, remind me, at how many billion?
I don't have that off the top of my head.
Okay, well, it's.
But what the governor's doing is he's pulling one-time dollars to fund the ongoing revenue for this next year. So you never spend one-time dollars on ongoing expenditures. So he's pulling one-time dollars. And he's pulling one-time dollars that were actually allocated to the district for this year. And he's using those dollars to fund revenue for next year. So I'll talk more about that on June 7th.
Well, I guess my long-term concern, as I have expressed in past budget conversations, is it would appear that we are likely, as a state, going into a recession period. And I very distinctly remember the deferred funding that we lived through. And I just want to publicly express my concerns over what it appears is in our future in terms of budget. And of course, kudos to both you and Matt for keeping us fiscally solvent for these many years. But I would like to just put blinders on and think everything is going to be fine. But having been in the business for as long as I have, I know the ups and downs are very cyclical. I guess that's not a question.
Comments are allowed as well from board
I hear you.
members. Any other questions or comments from the board? With no further questions, the Board of Education acknowledges receipt of the 2023-2024 budget study session and directs administration to bring the item back to the next regular board meeting as presented. And correct me if I'm wrong, colleagues, but now would be the time to discuss the pulled item.
Correct.
So we are now bringing back item number 10D4, the second reading and approval of the job description program specialist, dual language immersion, DLI. Part of the reason why I pulled this from the consent item is because when we originally discussed the job description, I believe it was at our last board meeting, there was language in the education and experience section in the middle. For us as board members, it's on page 90. I'm not quite sure what that page number would be for our public. But it originally reads bilingual in target language required. And now it reads preferred. And so I want to know why that language was changed, seeing that in that board meeting, there was support of keeping it required as opposed to preferred.
Well, I think just in review of the board meeting, I know there was discussion about whether it was required or preferred. And then we also discussed language that could go along with being preferred to expand our candidate pool in regards to job description. So along with being preferred, we put the language, which I know that was discussed at our last board meeting, if not bilingual, experience in effectively communicating with those who speak a different language. So I think we had brought up the example of Mr. Ruiz being at Jimenez, who is not necessarily bilingual, but he speaks Spanish. And so someone with his expertise in DLI may be a candidate. If we were to put bilingual required, he would be excluded from that candidate pool. So that's the reason we changed it to preferred and made it a broader definition so that we could cast a wider net in regards to candidates.
And I appreciate that context, Dr. McDuffie, because I think if I recall, we had a presentation from our dual language immersion program last month. The parents, spoke definitely and requested that our leadership, also have the language skills, right? That they're requesting that our students have. So they were definitely in favor of promoting bilingualism, multilingualism from our leadership. And so I also recall hearing from our migrant parents at our last board meeting, and they were also highly encouraging us, right, to make sure that the leadership, right, has the language skills to be able to effectively communicate with them. I know from personal experience that we have, wonderful leaders that, are not bilingual. But I also know that there's often candidates that are bilingual that sometimes don't, put their hat in the race, right? So although it might feel like this might be restricting our applicant pool, I actually feel like it presents new opportunities for new applicants to step up to these potential leadership roles. And that's why I'm in favor of keeping the language as required rather than preferred.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And as you know, the migrant ed job description does have bilingual required because of the interface with the families, as well as our multilingual coordinator has that language of bilingual required. Again, in regards to this, we wanted to make sure that not only this candidate for this position was bilingual, but also had the expertise in this area of DLI. And again, that's the reason for that. And so I leave it to the board's discretion and to the board's leave it to the board to give me direction on that.
Absolutely.
I have a question. What's the interface between this position for the person holding this position with the public? Will they be interfacing and will they be speaking to our parents, our students, and community?
They will, but is Jennifer Loftus?
I've got it.
Okay.
Yeah, this position will be interfacing with teachers at the school site, families, community, as part of the role is helping with what does expansion look like. But again, it's not a requirement that they write, right, in Spanish. We just want them to be able to communicate with our parents. And so what we found in putting required, we actually have folks that don't apply because they don't feel like they are bilingual enough. And so many of our employees can speak conversational Spanish and able to have great conversations with our families and be very inclusive of the language and not feel that they're bilingual. The other reason is that we have other positions open in our multilingual department that, again, that wide net as an entry-level management position, we really want to make sure that we get lots of folks in, but also really cognizant of Board Member Valencia's comments of really wanting someone that is bilingual. We have that same desire. We just want to make sure that the pool isn't excluding anyone that doesn't feel like they might not have all of those skills, but they will be using those skills in their work. And they're also working with teachers not using English as well. So they'll need to have both, but that communication piece we'll be looking for.
Okay, so yeah, I didn't know how much Spanish or other language they needed to know. Was it read, write, so that they could communicate, send out memos or whatever? But, or do they just have to converse and in that case?
They would be conversing, and we have folks who are much more specialized at doing it in writing, so that we're making sure that the language and the word choices are appropriate for Mistec parents or for our Spanish speaking parents. So we do have folks on our campuses that support us with that, and at the district office.
Any other questions or comments from the board at this time?
I would just agree with the rationale for changing the language to preferred. I totally appreciate that rationale. And, you know, while being a school site principal, it would definitely be very desirable, and in our community could be required. You know, we would be severely limiting, you know, that pool. And while it at times posed a little bit of a hindrance, I personally always felt that I had staff right next to me helping to translate and interpret, and did not feel that the parents or community person was feeling offended or undervalued. So it can be done very successfully without being bilingual.
Ms. Cabral?
I'm sorry. I don't know about not being bilingual, but having that spoken.
It is in the job description.
And
That's
so
what the
in-
superintendent had read, is that they need to be able to converse
Okay.
with the community. So we would be looking for that.
Because that's important.
Yes,
to
ma'am.
me.
In this particular position, absolutely.
Yes. Okay.
And so given that clarity, I think because when I first read this, that was not clear to me. And so hearing that, so inserting language instead of not bilingual, there's a part that says if not bilingual, which to me means monolingual, experience and effective communicating with those who speak a different language. So the language, I think, needs to be more explicit to say they don't have to have mastery over the writing piece, but they should have some fluency over the communication piece, the oral piece. So making that clear in the job description, I think, is essential. And Mr. Ruiz was gracious enough to use himself as an example to say, hey, he knows that he couldn't teach DLI, right? I know that I couldn't teach DLI at this moment in time without further preparation, but I could communicate effectively with our families in Spanish, right? As somebody in that leadership role. So I think that's what I think needs to be just clarified here is, hey, we need somebody there that knows how to speak, is the Spanish, which is one of the dominant languages in our community. It would be Arabic, right? If we were a mostly Arabic speaking community. So making that clear for the language to say that it's not required for them to be able to write necessarily in Spanish, but it is required that they know how to at least speak in Spanish.
Okay, so Board Member Valencia, if not bilingual, experience in effectively communicating with those who speak a different language, we can definitely work on that and bring it back for a third reading and work that to make it more clear.
Absolutely. And I think, I appreciate this conversation that we're having, right? Because just as Ms. Cordero was alluding to, the community that we serve, right, is highly Spanish speaking, right? I don't know the exact percentage, but I would guess it's at least 70%, plus. And therefore, I think it sets a certain expectation, right, to say from all of our leaders, hey, if you want to continue to have leadership opportunities, let's make sure that we're meeting the language needs of our community. They are asking for this themselves. And I see the value in it. I also see the limitations sometimes, right, when our leaders cannot communicate effectively, because sometimes interpreters are not always available. And there's also costs that are associated with an interpreter also, right? So there's, if we were to list out a chart that says pros and cons of being bilingual, there would be a lot of pros on one column and there'd be very little, on the con part, right? So I think being an educator and seeing that many of my colleagues, right, are not, bilingual. They want to be, they haven't had the opportunity or haven't challenged themselves or for whatever reason that might be. But I think it sets a certain expectation, right? To say, hey, we as a district, we know who we're serving. We know who, a big portion of our community is, and we want to set that expectation. We want to challenge you all, right? Challenge myself as a professional. I got to step my game up as it relates to communicating effectively with my families. So that's part of the reason why it's so essential that we have this conversation, because I think it'll add to enhancing the leadership of all of our leadership staff to have that expectation. Are there any other questions or comments from the board at this time? All right, thank you very much, Dr. McDuffie. Please go ahead and bring that back to us with those recommendations. Next, I believe we have item 13, new business. Do we have any items of new business from the board this evening? Mr. Lara, any for you at this time? Ms. Cabral? Ms. Cordero?
Yes, I do have multiple things that I would like to share, things that I have been busy with, involved with our.
Oh, just for clarity, right now we're just on any requests for agenda items for the future.
Oh,
Ms. Cordero? Any at this time?
no.
Okay, excellent. I know for myself, at the last DLI presentation, there was mentioned by our leadership that there would be an update, and I think it was sometime, I think in 2024, like a major update. But I want to encourage our district staff to give us more frequent updates to assess the progress of our expansion when it comes to DLI. And the reason for that is I want to make sure that it remains like a priority, right? And so if we're going to keep this a priority, which I know it is in our community, then I want to make sure that we're providing more frequent updates than like after going like an extended period of time. So I want to make the recommendation that we receive DLI updates at least every 3 months.
Yeah, what I'll do is go back and see what the timeline was like as far as the last update with Ms. Loftus and her presentation. I know there was a update for recommendations that happened in 23, 24.
Exactly.
And so I'll also talk to President Hollinshead in regards to the new business and how I get that information out to the board.
Excellent. Thank you. I also wanted to, I mentioned, I think at the last board meeting, I wanted an update regarding Avid, which I think the board was, in favor of. So I just wanted to kind of get a sense of, within the next 2 months, 3 months.
I haven't talked to President Hollinshead about that as
Got
far
it.
as whether it would go into a board update or a weekly update, or whether we would bring that as a presentation at this date in the school year. We may, it really depends. So I will talk to the president about that.
Excellent. And one of the things that Mr. Hollinshead brought up was drug awareness. We know that this is a pretty hot topic in our community, and prevention education, right, around drug use. So I wanted to request that we as a board receive some type of presentation about what's happening in our schools. I know we received some information a few months back, but something that keeps this issue at the forefront around how are we preparing our young people? How are our staff, right, being prepared to effectively educate our young people?
Yeah, I think was that already something that was discussed?
Is that already on?
It was already new business that we had talked about. So
So it sounds like it's coming up already?
yeah, we'll be bringing that to the board.
Excellent. Very good. All right. So seeing if there's no other further requests, we're at item 15, adjournment. Or pardon me, I jumped the gun now. We're at item 14, board superintendent reports. Do we have any reports from the board? Mr. Lara?
Yeah, I'd like to report out that myself and Miss Cordero, we attended the PK graduation at Fairlawn with Miss Danley and Miss Alvarez. And it was very nice. She had all these 25 parents that were really committed, and it was great to see how they went through the program and were really well engaged and were doing the right thing for their kids. And it was really nice to see. Also, I don't know, I want to put it out there. I want to wish Mr. D on his next adventure. You know, he's being close to me and my family, and was a great big mentor to my son, who was a high school teacher, even though my son wasn't in his class. And we all know the kind of impact he has on kids. So I just want to wish him Mr. Dobransky, but I think a lot of people know him as Mr. D as well, but excuse me. So, and then I'm going to go a little off track. There's somebody I want to wish a happy birthday to, a wonderful lady that's been in my life all my life. And she's been a big supporter of mine and whatever I've gone through and what I want to do. And it's my mom. She turned 94 today. So I just want to wish my mom a happy birthday. That's it. That's all I got.
Ms. Cabral?
I can't remember back for 2 weeks, but I did attend the SMEA recognition dinner last week, and that was very nice to meet most of the teachers. Got to catch up with some old friends, and the Miss Giordano recognized me. She was my 7th and 8th grade teacher, and she was awarded the teacher of the year, or and so she recognized me, and it was nice to congratulate her and celebrate her and her accomplishments. And then that's it.
Ms. Cordero?
Okay, it has been a very busy month. Quarterly schools meeting at Hancock, which I think was mentioned a little bit earlier. I've been very busy with the Scholarship Foundation. Interviews were completed, and I was honored to be able to announce scholarship recipients for the Delta High School students that won awards or received awards from the Scholarship Foundation. And last night I was at Orchid Academy, where 38 of their 100, I think 42 is what they finally decided on, students received awards. The total amount that has been awarded to students in northern Santa Barbara County is $3.5 million. And I mentioned last night in my few words that 15 years ago, when I started interviewing with the foundation, maybe about 25% of the scholarship dollars came to students in the Santa Maria and Guadalupe area, and we're moving up. We're getting close to half of those scholarship awards, and they don't tell what the dollar amount of the scholarships are, but when I just divided the number of students that received scholarships with how much money, it was between $3,000 and $4,000 for each student. So it is a significant contribution to their efforts to continue on the path to their future. And so it's always a very rewarding experience. And even though, well, probably about half of the students attended a Santa Maria schools throughout their educational career. The Facilities Master Plan Committee is continuing to meet. We have one more meeting scheduled for next week to kind of bring some conclusion to, our ideas and so forth. I think it was Mark Palmerston that mentioned the recognition for Shelley Hart at the Santa Barbara County Education Office Celebration event, which is recognizes outstanding educators throughout the county. It's always a lot of fun. I was surprised that not more Santa Maria teachers received grants and awards, and can only assume that they are so busy and working so hard that they don't have time to apply. And hopefully in the coming year or next couple of years, we'll get back to having 15 or 20 of our local teachers receiving those grants. In addition to this being a month of recognizing our employees in the school district, it is also a time when there is men and women who have died in the line of duty in the policing profession are recognized. And for a number of years, the Santa Maria Police Department has put on a police memorial that is exceptionally nice. And men and women who have died in the line of duty in California are recognized. It is solemn, and it is a stark reminder of what men and women do each and every day when they go to work. They are putting their lives on the line. Scholarship Foundation Awards for the entire area will be next week at Allen Hancock. I attended the State of Education event where Dr. McDuffie shared his thoughts. And of course, the SMEA dinner, which was, as always, very well attended and very festive and lots of fun. And I'm looking forward to attending the CSEA Strawberry Social, which is now a big dinner event also upcoming this Saturday. So it's been busy. I stopped by Adams School to see the creations that fifth grade students came up with cardboard to recreate well-known games with mazes and balls where you throw them up to knock things over or get a basket. It was a lot of fun, and the kids were having a really great time. So, and as I said earlier, our student leaders, the exhibitions that they had on display on Friday were incredible. And every single one of them mentioned having gone to the Museum of Tolerance as being very impactful to them. And they all took a great deal of pride in the kindness project that they initiated and supported at their school sites. So it was fun, and it was just extremely rewarding to see the pride, feel the pride, and for them to be able to articulate just how they had grown as a result of their experience was extremely rewarding. And of course, a few softball games in there too.
Thank you, Ms. Cordero. I had the pleasure of seeing either in our weekly board packet or on the news, the Mixteco Pique graduation. I think that was outstanding because we're tailoring again our services to the language needs of our community. And, even though Spanish is the predominant language of many of our families, we know that our indigenous language speaking families are also a major component of that. And so it's nice to see that we're tailoring services, to meet the needs of our families. To me, that's part of what meets the definition of equity, right? Not giving everybody the same, but giving people what they need. So it made me really, really happy to see that our families are getting that support, especially because I see the benefits of that at the high school level, how many of those families continue to stay involved in Pique, attend meetings, right? Know how to understand the grade reports, which are often different from how they're reported in other countries. So major props to all of our staff involved with supporting Pique for our Mixteco speaking families. I was also able to see the track meet that took place on Saturday from students from our district. It was so just heartwarming, exciting to see like so many of our families and our students out there running their butts off. And it was a good reminder to me of just all of our staff that come together to support this gigantic event, right? This major event. I know our students haven't had the opportunity to have it due to COVID restrictions and things like that. So I know that when our young people get the chance to participate in these types of events, right, it fills them with joy. It promotes good health habits. And I can speak to on a personal level, I'm a beneficiary of that as somebody who ran track at El Camino. Thank you to Mrs. Pryor. Thank you to Mr. Walker for helping me with that. And so I really want to thank all of our staff for doing that for our young people. I also had the pleasure that same day to attend the Cal Poly Social Justice Conference at Santa Maria High School. Educators from our district were some of the students that were presenting actually at the conference. And it was really outstanding work. It's for me as an educator that's been in teaching for the last 15 years, it's so refreshing to see what our newer teachers are up to, right? The energy, the enthusiasm, the creativity that they come with. I was excited to see a couple of their displays. And if they're willing to share, I would love to bring them to our district so that, you know, all of our staff can see them because I think they're really outstanding. A few that stood out to me in particular was one of the educators had a display looking at books that explore teaching our young people about valuing their skin color and their hair texture. So being proud of the variety of beautiful skin colors and hair textures was like the focus of the story of the book. And this is a children's book. So it was really wonderful to see how our educators are being very intentional about teaching our young people to honor the diversity that exists in our society. There was another display table looking at ethnic studies. So looking at how are we incorporating Indigenous history into our curriculum? How are we incorporating Asian American history? How are we incorporating Chicano Latino history? And there was even a separate display specifically looking at Juneteenth. I myself am continuing to learn more about this important holiday. Many of our staff will enjoy, you know, the day off on Juneteenth, but how cool it is or how important, it's so important that we understand, right, the history behind it. So I was really appreciative to see our local educators on a Saturday at this point in the year, right, being willing to learn and to grow. So I really appreciated seeing that. One of the workshops that they had at the conference was around LGBTQ plus identifying educators sharing their experiences in our school settings. Unfortunately, they shared that they don't always feel supported in our schools. That whoever's the leadership, right, is at the time, if they express support for these our teachers, then they feel supported, right? They feel welcome at the school. But if the opposite is also true, then they tend to leave those school sites. And so a couple of the educators that identify as LGBTQ shared that. And for me, it was just really to be a board member there, to be a teacher. It just reminded me of how essential it is to be a learner in this space, because that's actually what they asked for. They said, hey, we appreciate administrators that are willing to learn, right? And not judge us. And so I really, really felt that was really important, that they told their stories as courageous as they might be and the struggles that they've gone through, sometimes among their own family. I also wanted to share within that workshop that some of the educators shared that when they create an inviting space for their students, some of the teachers shared that they might have like a rainbow flag on their windowsill or a sticker that might read something like, hey, this is a safe space, right, for either students that identify as LGBT or are queer or questioning. And the response that the students receive from those teachers. So many of those teachers shared stories about students being comfortable to share with those teachers and say, hey, like, you know, I feel, you know, safe in here, right? Or, hey, I'm going through bullying. Like, what do I do in this situation? So again, it was just a reminder to me of how important it is for me to learn as a leader, to be more supportive of our staff and students. And it also reminds me that our El Camino students about a year ago came in and gave us a presentation. They came with data. And they said, hey, look, our students, they're worried about bullying, particularly bullying against our LGBTQ students. And so they shared the importance of making sure that they're educated and that they're being learn about ways to be supportive of their peers. So I was really, really blown away by that. And that still is in my mind. Next month in June, I believe, is Pride Month. And so with the board support, I would like to request a board resolution recognizing and honoring our LGBTQ plus staff and students for our June board meeting. And I'm not sure if that requires like a formal approval from the board prior to going to Mr. Holland's head to request the resolution.
That it's part of just the comment. So this is new business.
Yeah, exactly. So just wanted to add that to the new business.
We don't normally do resolutions regarding any of those special,
Well, so I can talk to President. Hollis.
Yeah.
I'd be for it. We do Hispanic heritage and so, yeah. I'd support it.
So then, yeah, Dr. McDuffie, just return that to Dr. Holland or to Mr. Holland's head for to add that to our agenda for our June meeting. In addition, I wanted to wrap up with saying that the SMEA end of year banquet, as usual, was a really wonderful event. One of the things that really struck me from the event was just the energy and the enthusiasm that our teachers shared for each other, the love that they shared for each other, the support that they shared for each other. It was just like it was really, really like wonderful to see. And that's how we as educators get to thrive, right? Because this is a very challenging profession. We've been through very challenging years. And I say we because I'm in the classroom as well. So I think I wish some of my high school colleagues were as energetic and creative and fun with the tables, because sometimes maybe we're too cool for school at the high school level. But I think at the middle school, elementary level, you all are doing something right there. So thank you for the invitation. I had a great time. And I'm really also looking forward to celebrating the hard work of our classified CSEA staff at the Strawberry Social this Saturday. Thank you very much. Oh, pardon me, Dr. McDuffie.
Thank you, Vice President Valencia. I have just a couple of announcements. On May 9th, I participated in the Chamber of Commerce State of Schools breakfast with other North County school superintendents and SBCEO Superintendent Dr. Susan Salcido. It was a great opportunity to share about the focus we're creating here at Santa Maria Bonita School District and the path that staff and students are forging. And it's also good to hear from other superintendents in the area as well, as we collaborate often. I also attended the SBCEO Education Celebration Dinner and Ceremony on May 11th. Shelley Hart, congratulations. Are you out there? She fell asleep. Oh, she's gone? Okay. But congratulations. She was selected by the Santa Barbara County Education Office as winner of the prestigious Crystal Apple Award for 2023. Shelley was nominated for the award by teachers who worked with her to support the teacher induction program, which she developed. I know we're very proud of the work that Shelley and others have done with the residency and induction program to develop teachers from our own bilingual classified staff. I've already talked about visiting our schools. It's been amazing to be out there and to just appreciate staff and the hard work. We are in May, and how many days of school do we have? Does anybody know how many days? There are no teachers in the classroom, no? 8 days left. I knew it'd be someone, not that you're counting, Christina, but 8 days left, though. Hang in there. I really appreciate all the hard work that all of you have done this year. And then on Saturday, I joined a number of our staff members who volunteered at the annual track meet, my first track meet. And it was great. Students were excited to be competing and representing their schools. The crowd was great. It was just a great time. I enjoyed seeing our students participate, and I especially appreciated their attention to fairness and fun. And so I thank the teachers who really organized this event, Melissa Musio, what is it? And Jessica Morris from Ontiveros, sorry. And it was just a great event for our students and our staff. Thank you, Vice President. That's all I have.
We are now at item 15, adjournment. The next regular board meeting of the Santa Maria Bonita School District will be held on June 7, 2023. There being no further business before the board, may I have a motion to adjourn? It has been moved by Ms. Cordero and seconded by Mr. Lara to adjourn the meeting. The time is now 7:58 PM. Meeting adjourned. At this time, the board will immediately resume